Shocking! 7 olive oil brands are 100% fake, and 2 that are actually pure. Long-form investigative narrative. You drizzle it over salad, thinking you're making the healthy choice. That golden stream from the green bottle, the one with the Italian countryside on the label. Extra virgin, cold-pressed, first harvest, words that sound like purity itself. But tilt that bottle toward the light. Notice how it doesn't quite glow the way you remember olive oil glowing in your grandmother's kitchen. Notice the color, uniform and predictable, batch after batch, month after month. Real olive oil changes. It darkens with age. It shifts between harvest seasons. It varies between groves just miles apart. This doesn't. Pour a small amount into a white dish. Watch how it spreads. Too thin, too fast. Like it's trying to escape the plate. Smell it closely. There should be something grassy, something fruity, maybe a hint of pepper that catches in your throat. Instead, there's almost nothing. Just a faint vegetable smell, generic and forgettable. You've been buying this bottle for years. It sits on your counter next to the stove. You use it for everything because you read somewhere that olive oil is good for your heart. Anti-inflammatory, Mediterranean diet, all those articles and all those doctors recommending it. But what if the bottle you're holding isn't olive oil at all? In 2016, Italian authorities conducted one of the largest food fraud investigations in European history. They called it Operation Golden Oil. What they discovered wasn't small-scale corner cutting. It was systematic deception spanning multiple countries and involving some of the most recognized names in the industry. Investigators found warehouses filled with seed oils, soybean oil, sunflower oil, even hazelnut oil, all being mixed, bottled, and labeled as extra virgin olive oil. The scale was staggering. An estimated 80% of Italian olive oil sold in the United States doesn't meet the legal standards for the grade printed on the label. That's not a fringe problem. That's the entire industry operating on fraud. A 2010 study by UC Davis analyzed bottles from California grocery stores. They tested oils labeled extra virgin olive oil from major international brands. The results? 69% failed to meet international standards. The bottles looked legitimate. The labels used all the right words. But chemical analysis revealed they'd been cut with cheaper oils, extracted using heat and solvents, or aged so long they'd gone rancid before ever reaching the shelf. Here's how it works. Olive oil production is expensive. Real cold-pressed extra virgin oil requires hand-harvesting olives at peak ripeness, pressing within hours of picking, and storing in temperature-controlled facilities. That process costs money, a lot of money. So companies take shortcuts. They buy low-grade olive oil that's been chemically refined. They blend it with seed oils that cost a fraction of the price. They add chlorophyll for color and beta-carotene to mimic the golden tint. Sometimes they add a small percentage of real extra virgin oil, just enough so the blend passes basic taste tests, but not enough to justify the premium price they're charging. The labels never tell you this. They can't. It would be illegal. Instead, they rely on imagery, rolling hills, stone mills, family recipes passed down through generations. The words extra virgin printed in elegant script. You're not buying oil, you're buying a story. And the story is a lie. Walk down the oil aisle at any major grocery store right now. You'll see bottles ranging from $5 to $50. The expensive ones have heavier glass, fancier labels, maybe a metal pour spout. They feel premium. They look imported. But price doesn't guarantee authenticity. Some of the most expensive bottles on the shelf contain the same refined blends as the cheapest ones. You're paying for marketing, not quality. The olive oil industry has almost no meaningful oversight in the United States. The FDA doesn't require purity testing. There's no mandatory certification. Companies can write whatever they want on the label as long as they're not explicitly lying about specific, measurable claims. And even when they are caught, the fines are minimal. A slap on the wrist compared to the profits generated by selling cheap oil at premium prices. This isn't a new problem. It's been documented for decades. Tom Mueller wrote an entire book about it in 2011, Extra Virginity, The Sublime and Scandalous World of Olive Oil. He interviewed inspectors, chemists, and industry insiders. They all said the same thing. Fraud is the norm, not the exception. So why doesn't anything change? Because there's too much money involved. The global olive oil market is worth over $16 billion annually. Fake oil generates billions in profits with almost zero risk of prosecution. Even when brands are exposed, they settle quietly, change nothing, and continue selling. You've probably never thought about this while cooking dinner. You grab the bottle, pour without questioning, and assume you're using what the label promises. That trust is precisely what the industry exploits. Let's talk about what you're actually consuming when you buy the wrong bottle. Refined seed oils are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Your body needs some omega-6, but the ratio matters. Excessive omega-6 without balancing omega-3 promotes chronic inflammation. That inflammation contributes to arthritis, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated aging. You switched to olive oil to reduce inflammation. Instead, you've been pouring inflammation onto your food every single day. Chemically refined oils are extracted using hexane, a petroleum-based solvent. The oil gets heated to high temperatures, bleached, and deodorized to remove the chemical smell. What remains is nutritionally dead fat. No polyphenols, no antioxidants, no vitamin E, just empty calories that stress your liver and offer zero health benefits. Rancid oil is even worse. Olive oil oxidizes when exposed to light, heat, or air. Once oxidized, it produces free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells and DNA. Consuming rancid oil regularly accelerates aging at the cellular level. That anti-aging Mediterranean diet you've been following, if your olive oil is fake or rancid, you're doing the opposite of what you intended. For people managing diabetes, fake olive oil sabotages blood sugar control. Real extra virgin olive oil has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. Refined seed oils do the opposite. They promote insulin resistance, making it harder to regulate glucose levels. For seniors trying to protect cognitive function, this matters even more. Real olive oil contains oleocanthal, a compound that reduces brain inflammation and may protect against Alzheimer's. Fake oil contains none of these protective compounds. You're missing the benefits you're paying for while consuming oils that accelerate cognitive decline. So which brands are the worst offenders? Let's start with the ones hiding in plain sight. Number 7. Bertolli. The name sounds authentically Italian. The label shows rustic imagery, olive branches, Mediterranean sun, heritage since 1865. It sits on shelves everywhere, priced reasonably, looking trustworthy. In 2012, Bertolli faced a class action lawsuit for falsely labeling products as imported from Italy when they were actually bottled in North America using oils of undisclosed origin. Internal documents revealed the company blended oils from multiple countries, including Turkey, Tunisia, and Spain, but marketed them as Italian to justify higher prices. The lawsuit included chemical analysis showing Bertolli's extra virgin olive oil failed to meet international standards for extra virgin grade. Specifically, the free fatty acid levels were too high, indicating the oil had been refined or was made from damaged olives. The peroxide values were elevated, meaning the oil was already oxidizing and going rancid before bottling. Bertolli settled. They changed some label wording. They never admitted wrongdoing. The bottles still sit on shelves today with nearly identical packaging. Same Italian imagery, same premium positioning, same deceptive marketing. Open a bottle of Bertolli and pour it into a glass. Hold it up to light. Notice the color, pale yellow, almost transparent. Real extra virgin oil has depth. It's cloudy with suspended particles. This looks filtered and lifeless. Smell it. There's barely any aroma. Maybe a faint vegetal scent, but nothing robust. Real olive oil hits your nose immediately with grassy, fruity, sometimes peppery notes. Taste it. Put a small amount on your tongue and let it coat your mouth. It should have complexity. Bitterness from olives. a peppery finish that makes you cough slightly. Bertolli tastes flat, one-dimensional, like vegetable oil with a whisper of olive. For families using this daily, thinking they're protecting their heart health, you're wasting money on refined blends that offer no cardiovascular benefits. Number 6. Pompeian, America's #1 selling olive oil brand. You see it everywhere: grocery stores, warehouse clubs, gas stations. The plastic bottles, the bright labels, the all-American branding, despite the Italian-sounding name. In 2014, Pompeian faced a class action lawsuit alleging their extra virgin olive oil was actually a blend of lower-grade oils that didn't meet extra virgin standards. Laboratory testing showed elevated levels of pyrophyophytin, a marker that indicates the oil was either old, refined, or deodorized. Pompeian's response was telling. They didn't dispute the test results. They argued that current USDA standards are voluntary, and that their oil met those voluntary guidelines, even if it failed stricter international standards. Translation: legal loopholes allow us to lie. The company continued using the same suppliers, the same blending processes, and the same labels. They paid the settlement and moved on. Consumers got a few dollars back if they'd kept their receipts. Meanwhile, millions of bottles continued selling. The plastic bottles are a red flag by themselves. Olive oil degrades when exposed to light. Clear plastic accelerates oxidation. Real producers use dark glass bottles to protect the oil. Pompeian uses clear plastic because it's cheaper and because the oil inside is already so low quality that further degradation doesn't matter. Check the best buy date on any Pompeian bottle. Often it's 2 years from bottling. Real extra virgin olive oil should be consumed within 12 to 18 months of harvest, ideally sooner. A 2-year shelf life suggests the oil has been heavily processed to prevent spoilage, or that it's already so old the date is meaningless. For diabetics choosing Pompeian, thinking it's a heart-healthy fat, you're getting refined vegetable oil at olive oil prices. Number 5. Filippo Berio, the classic green bottle. European aesthetic, available everywhere. Mid-range pricing that feels like a safe compromise between cheap and expensive. 2017 testing by consumer groups found Filippo Berio extra virgin olive oil contained high levels of stigmastadiene compounds. These compounds form when seed oils are deodorized at high temperatures during refining. Their presence proves the oil has been chemically processed, which immediately disqualifies it from being called extra virgin. The company's defense was that these compounds can also occur naturally in olive oil in trace amounts. Technically true, but the levels detected were far beyond trace amounts. They matched the chemical signature of refined seed oil contamination. No recalls, no formula changes. The bottles still say extra virgin, still show Italian flags and olive groves, still sell to unsuspecting customers who believe what they read. Filippo Berio also sources from multiple countries, but obscures origin information. The label might say, "Product of Italy," which legally only means it was bottled in Italy. The olives could have come from anywhere: Tunisia, Morocco, Greece, Spain. All sources with varying quality controls, all blended together. For pregnant women trying to avoid inflammatory oils during pregnancy, Filippo Berio offers none of the anti-inflammatory benefits of real olive oil. Number 4. Star, another Italian-sounding brand owned by a multinational corporation. Star Fine Foods is actually headquartered in California and sources oils globally with minimal transparency. In 2020, Italian authorities seized a shipment of Star-branded olive oil at the port of Livorno. Inspection revealed it contained Lampante olive oil, a grade considered unfit for human consumption without refining. Lampante comes from damaged or fermented olives and must be chemically treated before it can be sold. The shipment was destined for North American markets. After refining and blending, it would have been bottled and labeled as extra virgin. Consumers would never know they were eating oil made from rotten olives that had been chemically deodorized. Star's product line includes bottles at various price points. The cheaper versions openly blend olive oil with canola or vegetable oils. But even their premium extra virgin offerings have repeatedly failed independent testing for purity and quality standards. The company has never published testing data. They don't disclose harvest dates. They don't provide traceability. Just vague claims about Mediterranean tradition and quality ingredients. For anyone cooking daily with Star, you have no idea what you're actually consuming. Number 3. Carapelli. Established 1893. Historic Tuscan brand. Elegant bottles. Premium shelf placement. Higher prices that suggest superior quality. Purchased by a Spanish conglomerate in the 1990s. Production shifted away from traditional methods toward industrial-scale blending. Quality dropped. Authenticity disappeared. Marketing stayed the same. 2018 chemical analysis by Italian consumer protection agencies found Carapelli extra virgin olive oil had sensory defects, including rancidity and fusty flavors from fermented olives. Under official standards, oil with these defects cannot legally be called extra virgin. Carapelli challenged the results. They hired their own lab. That lab, paid by Carapelli, found no problems. Shocking. Independent tasters confirmed the defects. The oil tasted stale and musty, not fruity or fresh. The kind of flavor that suggests improper storage or use of damaged olives. But the bottles still sit on premium shelves commanding premium prices. Consumers pay extra thinking they're getting Tuscan heritage. They're getting industrial oil with heritage branding. For seniors on fixed incomes, splurging on Carapelli thinking it's worth the investment, you're paying for a story that isn't true. Number 2. Colavita restaurant favorite. You see it in Italian restaurants. That instant credibility makes home cooks trust it. If chefs use it, it must be good, right? Wrong. Restaurants use Colavita because it's cheap in bulk and customers recognize the name. Not because it's authentic. 2011 lawsuit accused Colavita of blending and mislabeling olive oils. Chemical testing revealed the oils failed to meet extra virgin standards. The case included evidence that Colavita purchased low-grade oil from various Mediterranean sources, blended them in New Jersey, and labeled the result as Italian extra virgin. The company settled without admitting fault, changed nothing about their operations. Still markets heavily to restaurants and retail customers. What makes Colavita particularly problematic is the restaurant association. People assume if a restaurant uses it, they've vetted the quality. But restaurants choose suppliers based on price and consistency, not authenticity. Colavita offers both. Consistently mediocre oil at consistently low prices. The bottles look professional. The labels mention family tradition. None of it guarantees the oil inside is actually what you're paying for. Number 1. Mazola. Wait, Mazola is corn oil. Why is it number 1 on an olive oil fraud list? Because they make olive oil too, and it's worse than anything we've covered. Mazola olive oil exists in the same supply chain as their seed oils. Same facilities, same mentality. Industrial processing optimized for profit, not quality. The Mazola olive oil bottles are almost impossible to find at specialty stores. They sit in regular grocery stores next to corn oil and vegetable oil. That placement tells you everything. It's commodity oil with an olive label. No testing transparency. No origin disclosure. No harvest dates. Just a bottle of generic oil marketed to people who want olive oil but won't notice the difference. For anyone buying Mazola olive oil thinking they're getting Mediterranean health benefits, you're getting seed oil company making olive oil as an afterthought. So what's the fix? Stop trusting labels. They mean nothing without verification. Look for bottles with harvest dates printed clearly. Real producers are proud of freshness and will tell you exactly when the olives were pressed. Look for single origin oils. If the label says the olives came from a specific grove or region in a specific country, that's a good sign. Blended oils from multiple countries are red flags. Check for third-party certification. The North American Olive Oil Association seal or European DOP/IGP designations indicate the oil has been tested and verified. Buy smaller bottles in dark glass. Olive oil degrades over time. Buying a giant plastic jug guarantees the last third will be rancid before you finish it. Taste it. Real extra virgin olive oil should taste grassy, fruity, sometimes peppery. It should make you cough slightly from the polyphenols. If it tastes like nothing, it is nothing. And price matters, but not the way you think. Real extra virgin olive oil costs more to produce. If a bottle is suspiciously cheap, there's a reason. But expensive doesn't guarantee authenticity either. You're looking for the combination of proper packaging, clear labeling, and verifiable sourcing. So which brands actually deserve your trust? California Olive Ranch, domestic production, transparent sourcing. Every bottle lists the harvest date and lot number. Third-party tested, available nationwide. They partnered with UC Davis to develop quality standards stricter than federal requirements. Their oil consistently passes chemical analysis for purity and freshness. No blending with foreign oils. No vague origin claims. The taste is noticeably different. Bright, grassy, peppery. The kind of flavor that reminds you what real olive oil is supposed to taste like. For families wanting affordable authenticity, California Olive Ranch offers real extra virgin oil at reasonable prices. Frantoia, small Italian producer. Direct imported. Limited distribution, but worth finding. Family-owned groves in Sicily. Olives harvested by hand and pressed the same day. Bottled in dark glass with clear harvest dates. No industrial processing. No blending. The oil is robust and intensely flavored, not subtle. This is the kind of olive oil that transforms simple bread into something memorable. Yes, it costs more. You're paying for actual extra virgin oil from actual Italian olives pressed using actual traditional methods. For anyone who's been buying fake Italian olive oil for years, tasting Frantoia is a revelation. And there you have it. From Bertolli's Italian masquerade to Mazzola's commodity afterthought, we've walked through an industry built on deception. The bottles you trusted, the labels you believed, the health benefits you thought you were getting. Most of them were lies, but now you know. You know what to look for. You know what to avoid. You know that real olive oil exists. It just requires knowing the difference between marketing and reality. Your next trip to the grocery store will be different. You'll read labels more carefully. You'll question prices that seem too good. You'll choose bottles based on evidence, not imagery. That's not paranoia. That's being informed. And in an industry where fraud is the norm, being informed is the only protection you have.